Lolly, then Chris.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey, so I have a few questions, but of course I'm gonna have a follow-up on the last one. So if we're talking about the Dorje, um, which is different, but let's say doing the four quadrants with the Dorje, pointing it down and
Yeah, you just
focusing
point it
it
down,
on.
like
Okay,
do the
so
four
pointing it
quadrants. Mhm.
and just focusing on the four quadrants.
And then when you're done, you do that,
Yeah.
and then just let go. And so with the Dorje, you're not looking through anything or visualizing anything, but how, like with the Ankh, you look through the little egg shape. With the
Mm-hmm.
Dorje, you still look down and you focus on what it is, and then let go. Yeah.
So
That
looking
is
down is
actually, that still is actually, because what you're doing with like the focus and then letting go is you're working actually a couple of the directions when you do that. The directions, not necessarily literally, but what each direction does, it has an impact on the mind. And when you're doing this and then this, you're stimulating like this is you're working below and this is above, basically.
Mhm.
And so in the four directions, like you work the four directions, all the four directions has to do with the intellect. Then when you go and you do the seven directions, the four directions are the intellect. And then when you go below, above, and then within, or a lot of times they'll say the great mystery, right? Those three components are associated with intuition. And so you're working intellect and then intuition, and you're binding it. And so that is literally how you break down the karmic imagery. If you want to diminish patterns of suffering in your life, it's usually tied to karmic imagery. And so those components also play a role into forming the work programs, or not necessarily forming them, but like the quality of the programs. Like if they're really negative, it's because of the blockages in the form, the processes, and then the directions, which would be tied to like the imagery, and then together that forms the word program.
Okay, makes sense. So then, so when you're working with the Dorje, you're looking down, you're not closing your eyes for this
No,
specific
you're
thing?
you're not looking down. Like
Oh,
you're pointing it down, but
you're
you're
pointing it down, but you could, so your eyes are open, closed, does it matter?
better to be open.
Okay, so look, okay, so then be looking straight or does it matter?
Your eyes are open, but you're holding an image in your mind.
Okay.
It depends on
Each,
what you're doing, but yeah,
okay, so for this specific thing, there'll be, okay.
yeah.
And then you would do the seven directions, not just the four.
Well,
Or
those
when
are
you,
two separate things. So um, if you're wanting to work the quadrants of the aura, then you just point down and that's all you do. You just put your
mm-hmm,
awareness on the left side of the body, the front side,
mm-hmm,
right side, the back side. If you want to work the other three, you go down to the perineum and then up above your head and then your spine, right? And then if you're working about it's different than how you think about it, like with healing. It's not like, oh, if you're breaking down a thought form, it's about like evolving the thought form. You're filling it with light. It's a different idea. You focus on what it is. So trying to think of how to do an example. Do you have a part of your body that hurts?
My throat.
Okay, so just check in with your throat and
Yeah.
like I would just like look at you. I would focus on you. And focus on the throat. And let go. And focus on you. Mm. You feel a little something happening?
Feels like something is, I still feel it, but it feels better. Like something is kind of moving around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thank
that's
you.
how you would do healing with
Okay. So then for myself or for somebody else.
that. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with this one you would clean it with each time you're using it with the
It's
Dorje?
different than like doing healing. Like you're not uh doing like, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
So you're not having to like clean it like that. There's so much energy running through. It's a different animal.
And that's because I've been wondering really how often I need to clean it. So I don't need to clean it as often.
Everyone's like everyone's.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't even planning to ask that, but since
Yeah.
it came up. So, okay.
Mhm.
So now let's go to my questions.